Hey folks, Lenny Lawson here, the car guru. Thanks for tuning in, turning it on. I hope that I can turn on some light bulbs in your mind, and especially in the mind of your teen drivers, your teenagers. Kids that are, 14, 15, 16, maybe even up into 17. Yeah, these people that think they know everything. They are now smarter than their parents. Or so they think. And so I took it upon myself for our teen driver experience that we did last night to create a guidebook for teen drivers or people who are becoming teen drivers on the way. They may not have their driver's license yet. They may just have their learner's permit. And when I say that term, I remember something my dad always said about graduation from high school or graduation from college. What you're really getting is a learner's permit because you never stop learning. You know, when you go into a new job, maybe a lot of the stuff you learned in college or high school doesn't matter. And, you know, maybe it taught you critical thinking and how to study and how to complete a project. I mean, I think there's a tremendous value in education. Don't get me wrong, but I would have to say that the vast majority of what I've learned in life and in my business life and in my car life, for that matter, has been after I graduated from college. So we had our teen driver event, and I came up with the guidebook, and I want to read to you my introduction to these young people. And here goes. The guru's message to young drivers. You're at a crossroads in your life right now. Up to this point, most of your decisions have been shared, some yours, some your parents. But getting your driver's license changes that in a big way. This is where life begins to shift. I call it limited independence. But don't let the word limited fool you. What really increases is your responsibility and your accountability for your actions. Because now your hands are on the wheel in more ways than one. Understand this. There are only 3 things in life that you truly have direct control over. Your knowledge, your skills, and your habits. A lot of people will say, well, what about my actions? Well, your habits dictate your actions. But that's it. Those 3 things determine how you handle every situation you face in life. They shape your awareness, your decisions, your reactions, your outcomes. So today we're going to help you build on the first 2, knowledge and skills. But the third one, your habits, that's on you. When you're behind the wheel of a car, what happens next is in your control. Your parents can't help you. The rules of the road won't protect you every time. In the end, only 2 things determine what happens out there: your decisions and the laws of physics. And that brings me to this. There are 2 kinds of pain in life, the pain of commitment and the pain of regret. The pain of commitment is when you choose to do the hard things, to learn, to practice, to stay focused, to do things right. It costs you time, it costs you effort, but it leads to something worthwhile. The pain of regret is very different. That's when you had the chance to do the right thing and you didn't. You rushed. You ignored what you know to be true. You took a shortcut, and later you realized that you can't undo it. So choose commitment and avoid regret. And finally, understanding that your choices carry consequences. Real consequences is a big part of growing up. And today, this session is about helping you make better choices. Because when you leave here and get behind the wheel, it's your decisions that will determine what happens next. I'll be back in just 1 minute. Okay, I am back. You know, one of the things that I thought really captivated the young folks last night was when we talked about the most common causes of accidents and how to avoid road rage. You know, even at their young age, they've seen it. They've seen misbehavior on the highways. You know, and it takes all kinds of forms. It's young kids just showing off their hot little hatches, you know, their lifted trucks, And we did the same thing. I mean, we were doing it in Dodge Challengers and Chevy Chevelles, Mustangs, Camaros. And, of course, it's easy to look at the young people and say, aren't they crazy? But they're just like we were to a large extent. You know what's different, though, is the influence of the internet. You know, it's a pretty big category. But what they see, what they do online, and also how often they're on it, you know, and doing it at the wrong times. One of my pet peeves is just going to a restaurant and looking over and seeing a table with a family there, and every single one of them are on their phones, and they're not interacting with each other. I mean, that's how pervasive this is. You go into a doctor's waiting room, and nobody's talking to each other. There aren't any magazines. Why have magazines? Everybody's got cell phones. So they've eliminated magazines and eliminated conversation. And for some people, that's okay. I don't need any new friends. I don't need to talk to anybody in the doctor's office. Yeah, but that's just one sign of what the phone has done. And now in cars, it's one of the main causes of accidents. Distracted driving. Now, it's not just phones. I mean, it's eating. It's, you know, adjusting controls. I've almost wrecked before changing the radio station. You know, you look down to change the radio station, and all of a sudden you look up and you're headed for a telephone pole. I mean, I'm sure that's happened to you as well. So it's not like we're innocent because we're, you know, older. We did it too. But we've learned, right? We're smarter now. So we need to pass that information on to the young ones. Also speeding, you know, driving too fast for the conditions. This was something my dad used to get on me all the time for. Son, you're driving too fast. It's raining, you know, or there's snow on the ground. Slow down. You know, I've heard it so many times. But see, the difference between then and now is cars are so subtly fast. You know, you just don't get the sense of speed like you did in the 60s and the 70s. At least I don't. You can be going 85 miles an hour, and that's the average speed on the interstate, I'm sure, now. Back when I was in school, I think they had the 55 mile per hour speed limit, and if you were going 65, you were just flying. So speed, you know, the thing about speed is that things happen so much more quickly. If you're going down the road and you're doing 80 miles an hour and somebody pulls in front of you, the smallest adjustment on the steering wheel can create a terrible accident, can lead to, you know, rollover accidents, which are more often than not deadly. So speed is a big deal. The good thing about cars today, or one of the good things, is that they withstand crashes better, but they're still not flawless. I was watching a video of, and we showed it last night, of 4 people in a car. The 2 people on the driver's side, let me explain first that the car had full complement of airbags. It had the head curtain airbags, front and back seat. It had the front airbags, the knee airbags. It had them all. But the passengers on the left-hand side of the car, the driver and the person right behind him, or the dummy, didn't have a seatbelt on. The people on the right-hand side had seatbelts on, and it showed what happened to each of them in the crash, in the same car at the same time. And the ones without seatbelts would not have survived. It was a major frontal collision. The one in the back seat behind the driver ended up in the front seat, even if there are airbags, because there's no airbag between the driver and the person in the back seat. So there was nothing to restrain that person. Now you flip over to the right-hand side of the car. Both of them were restrained by the seatbelt, which allowed the airbags to be more effective. And they just had minor injuries according to the computer data. That was impressive. That got their attention because it shows how seatbelts and airbags are meant to work together. Just the fact that you have airbags in the car doesn't mean, well, we don't have to wear seatbelts anymore. We'll just wait till the buzzer goes off. It's amazing to me how many people do that. Okay, what else? Tailgating, following too closely. You know, you're supposed to be able to count to 3 before you reach the position where the car in front of you just left. Does that make sense? Another thing that I learned was that you should be 1 car length away from the car in front of you for every 10 miles per hour of speed. So if you're going 70, you should be 7 car lengths behind the car in front of you. What does that allow you to do? to react. You've got reaction time there. There's enough space if he slams on his brakes that you'll have the opportunity to recognize that, slam on yours, and not rear end him. The only problem is the car behind you, you can't even see their headlights because they're following so closely. There's no way that they can react. This is a major cause of accidents and pileups on interstate. Most of those types of accidents are combination accidents where there's multiple cars involved. And, I guess you have to be the one to break the trend and get in the slow lane and go the speed limit. How's that for a novel thing to do? Okay, running red lights, this is something that I see every single day. People running red lights. They're normally in a Ram truck or a big black Escalade with a young female driving. Well, maybe not so much them. It's usually the Ram trucks. So you never trust a green light. That's the message. If you're the first one in line and it turns green, you don't mash on the accelerator. You look first. Look to your left. That's where the trouble's coming from your left. And people they see that yellow light, and instead of applying the brakes, they apply the gas. And by the time they get to or close to the middle of the intersection, it's already red, your light has turned green, and you're getting ready to have your front end knocked off your vehicle or a broadside hit. So intersections are just very, very dangerous. And again, just don't trust a green light. Driving under the influence, another major cause, alcohol and drugs, poor weather conditions, fog. That's one that also gets abused. I mean, all of a sudden I'll see somebody appear out of the fog and they don't have their headlights on and they're going too fast. Oh, I can see. They might be able to see, but I can't see them. That's the problem. People think about what they can see. I guess that's how people justify going down at dusk, driving down the road and they don't have their lights on. They can see just fine. But I can't see them. And that's what people have to think about. Don't you call that defensive driving? I do. And then a couple more: driver inexperience, poor judgment, judging the width of your vehicle. A lot of these vehicles are very wide. It took a long time for us to get used to in my household. My wife driving a Chevy Tahoe back when we were a Chevy dealer. I think we had to replace like 2 mirrors because she would smack mirrors either with another vehicle or with a mailbox. I hope she's not listening to this. And then, of course, I did it too. I did it once. I made the mistake of hitting a mirror on a mailbox. This guy kind of got too close. I couldn't get over any further, and I hit the mailbox with my mirror. And instead of immediately taking it to the dealership and looking it over, I went where I was headed anyway, got to the dealership, and by then the liquid that's in the mirror to help defrost it had oozed out of the mirror and onto the paint. And when we tried to get that stuff off the paint, it wouldn't come off. We had to paint the door. So not only did I have to buy a $400 mirror at that time, that same mirror now with all the electronics and cameras and stuff would be over $1,000. We quoted one for a Lincoln MKX the other day, and it was $1,250 for one mirror. I'd hate to see how much the headlight would cost for that thing. But yeah, if you don't get that ooze off your paint, it could eat through it. And then you have the glass, that scratches the paint as well. So poor judgment. If you see a car coming and it looks really wide and you're both approaching a narrow bridge, just go ahead and stop. It's not a competition. You're not jousting. You're just driving. You want to get home with both mirrors intact. Okay, and then failure to yield the right of way. And a lot of these accidents, they're yielding all right, but they think the car in front of them has already pulled out. They see it start to move, and then they look to see if any cars are coming, assuming that the car moved. No, that car didn't move. What moved it was when you hit it from behind. And the good thing about modern vehicles like our Nissans and our Fords, they have automatic stopping, emergency braking that, you don't see that they stopped, but the camera and the computer on the car sees it and applies the brakes, and you end up not hitting the car in front of you. But that system is not foolproof. It should be, I guess, but they're just not. They're made by humans, and sometimes they just don't work. So how do we address these problems? Well, you keep your phone out of reach while you're driving. Then you can't check the text. Maybe you can answer the phone on your infotainment system. You should never hold it. In Tennessee, if they see you holding it, you're going to get pulled over and get a ticket. Again, maintain a safe following distance. Count to 3. And if you get to 2 before you pass over where the car in front of you was, then you're too close. Or just use the 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour. And then that'll keep you at the right distance. Obey the speed limits, adjust for weather, stay very, very alert at intersections. Don't trust a green light. Never drive impaired. Expect mistakes from other drivers. If you're really in tight traffic and you're going pretty fast, 65, 70 miles an hour, and you got an 18-wheeler, or you've got a car up in front of you, you're getting ready to pass them, what should you be looking at? Do you know? Should you be looking just straight down the road? One of the things I look at, and the experts agree, is look at their front wheel, because that's the one that's going to cross the dotted line first. Just keep your eye on that. You can see with your peripheral vision down the road. You want to look down the road, but keep glancing at that front wheel. That's what I do. And one more safety trick I learned many years ago is that when you're driving down the road and a car is getting ready to pull onto that road, you can see them pulling up. What should you be looking at? Should you keep looking down the road and trust your vision to be able to pick up movement? No, you should look at their front wheel. Again, because you will see the rotation of that wheel before you'll see any movement. You'll see it just barely move. And that has saved me a bunch of times of people pulling out in front of me. You can blast them with the horn and get their attention, or just slow down, because lots of times they have no clue that you're there. They can't see you, maybe because of the way the sun is hitting their eyes, or they've got some other obstacle in their way. Maybe deep tinted windows are blocking you, and they just can't get a good picture. They don't even know you're there. Pull out in front of you. So you just have to be prepared for that. And that doesn't matter whether you're a teenager or an old geezer like me. I'll be back in just 1 minute. Okay, I am back. Let's talk about road rage incidences. What should you do? If you got somebody that somehow, you don't know how, or you do know how, they're mad. They're ticked off at you because of some move you made. They think that they're on a NASCAR race car track, and you're just trying to get to soccer practice or get to work, and you have enraged them because of maybe you pulled out in front of them. Maybe you got too close to their rear bumper, and they start acting crazy, slamming on their brakes and swerving in and out and blocking you and doing all this kind of stuff. What should you do? Well, I know what I want to do. I wish I had a missile launcher on the front of my vehicle and it was legal to blow them off the road. No, I don't. I have thought about that, though. But no, you do not engage with aggressive drivers. You back off. You lose. If it's a competition and it's on the road and it involves road rage, it's okay to lose. Just back off. Pull over. Let them go on down the road. Let them deal with their issues. Avoid eye contact or gestures. Give aggressive drivers plenty of space. Do not respond by honking or yelling or giving them the finger. Stay calm and focused on your driving. If you feel threatened, go to a very public place and call 911. Make sure that the police are there waiting before you pull over and stop, because the person truly could be crazy. And another thing I guess you can do before you even leave on your trip is just plan ahead and allow extra travel time to reduce stress so that you don't get wound too tight. I know that's a lot to ask. I mean, I'm driving to Hilton Head for our family vacation, and these traffic jams that they have on I-26 and 95, they're exasperating. I mean, you're just cruising along, and all of a sudden, it's a 3-mile pileup, and then finally, an hour later, you get to the front of it, and there's nothing there. Nothing. If there was an accident, it's cleared off, And so I've always thought that it's just reaction time, that people are reacting to something that happens. Then what do? Pull out their cell phone, check the latest news, update their Facebook page, check the weather at the beach. I truly believe that it's the cell phone that causes those massive traffic jams. It's the only possible explanation that I have been able to come up with, unless it's just the Lord testing my patience. But it's not just my patience, it's everybody else. I don't think that's what it is. But, lessons are learned in a lot of different ways. And my wife, she'll look at me and say, just calm down. It's okay. We'll get there. And then I do. I need her. She keeps me calm because she knows after 48 years that I don't like to wait and I don't like lines. And I'm really impatient with terrible service. And that's about it. Those are my only faults. And oh, how I wish that were the case. Well, thanks for listening to this edition of My Car Guru. If you need me, send me a text 423-552-2020, and I'll see you on the next edition of My Car Guru.